Hey guys, it's Deja Bliss. I am here in nature to discuss an interesting topic. The similarities and differences of the lead in from socialism to communism and artificial intelligence timeline, because that's all a grouping that uniformity and sort of genderless and obedient, emotionless, spiritualless society that is when socialism bleeds into communism, which it always does, into artificial human intelligence, AI, robotic sort of reality, which comes with its accompanying like DNA modifications, these sorts of new medicines, if you could even call them that, altering your very structure to basically disconnect one with their spiritual nature. So interestingly enough, the opposing timeline to that is the natural, organic timeline, where one remembers who one truly is, integrates their full masculine, feminine, which results in an androgynous being. But see the difference between the genderless and the androgynous. This is one of the first two sides of the same coin in a way, which also clues us in, by the way, if something has an opposite or two sides, then it is ultimately not real either. So this is just a step toward where we're going. It's not the ultimate unity field, but it is heading that direction. Like, I'm in a forest right now and I could go this way on this path, and I could also go this way, but this way actually has two ways. So there's always like different paths that can be taken. Ultimately, both of the paths this way are going to the same place. The other path is going to the river, and ultimately all the paths are in the same valley, right? So we could look at our evolution or the movement of humanity through these different timeline decisions as similar to like you're all going to be in the same valley ultimately. Yeah, you're going to have different experiences this side of the mountain or that side of the mountain. AI, artificial human intelligence, is one that is purely mental. And if one knows one's true history, the Atlantean time period was when we went too much into the mental field. So there's a self-destructive mechanism there that already happened. That's already in the remembrance field. So that's why I do personally believe the organic timeline is the stronger pulling timeline. That doesn't mean some won't choose to repeat a cycle, because that's what we do. We repeat things we haven't learned yet. We do that as a person, as a culture, as a family, as a gender, as lots of different layers of the oneness, right, of who we are. So we have the genderless versus the androgynous. So an androgynous knows and utilizes both parts of self, masculine and feminine, integrates them into a powerful field of one. The genderless society sort of just erases gender and makes one more robotic, less connected. Our gender is connected directly to our sexual nature, which is our life force. It is the kundalini coming into the body. So you're basically snipping off that, where an androgynous has fully awakened all of those faculties and is basically living as a God being incarnate. That's really the difference we're talking about here. But funny enough, the AI timeline is trying to create an artificial way to become a god when it's actually just already built in to become that, if one follows the natural evolutionary process. You can't really skip steps though. You can't just go from thinking about it to making it in reality. And if you do, okay, you skip steps, you always have to go back if you skip steps. If you're learning math and you do addition and then division, you've skipped vital steps and you actually can't even comprehend division. Even if you're like, hey, I cheated and I'm in division now, I've only ever done math, like, you're screwing yourself. Like, you have to take the steps in order to integrate the lessons. There's no skipping steps. So you always have to go back and do something if you didn't do it in natural progression. And that's true of our spiritual development. You know, if someone's very repressed for all of their growing up life, at some point that repressed self has to express. And maybe when it was more appropriate, like say to be a rebellious teenager or in your 20s, repressed that now needs to be rebellious 30, 40, 50-year-old doesn't look as pretty and injures a lot more people, you know? And the same thing is kind of true with these alternate timelines. Okay, you can do it. There may be massive repercussions, will be massive repercussions, have already been massive repercussions to humanity for this choice, but it's a choice. And it's a choice we can all experience from the inside or the outside. And if we're feeling ourselves prone to the organic timeline, which probably you are if you're watching this, you can still see that that is a choice that can be made. Now, if we rewind and go into history again, and I can't remember all the details, but as different cultures fell, some perished. Some got really messed up in the process, and some escaped and moved somewhere else, relocated, right? Relocation is a huge theme in human evolution. And relocation sometimes is meant to other star systems. You know, this isn't the first place our souls have visited. And that's just the thing. Like, the timeline that's being shown of the artificial intelligence timeline, as many cool things as there are, it's missing something. And it's also because it's not whole and complete with its integrated mind, body, spirit, and it's just mind. That's an unintegrated state. It's not a lasting state to be unintegrated. So it actually binds one to makes one earthbound, makes one have to learn the lessons out of body. So whatever, let's say you are an organic being. Let me say this a different way. You're an organic being, which you are. You came with organic God self DNA that's slowly being turned on and activated throughout your progression and your learning and integration and initiating different cycles in your life. And as you learn, your spirit remembers things. You expand in who you are. You get more talents and abilities expressing. Maybe you learn things easier, or start to remember things, or you tap into psychic abilities. You know, do all these things by natural progression if you follow that path. However, if you see what other people have and you're like envious of that, or you want to get there but you're behind, let's say, this could generate some feelings, emotions that activate an ego mind to create something that's going to get you there faster. Now, that also is part of human evolution, to invent. It's a very Uranian energy. And with Uranus and Taurus, things, value systems, things we highly value, like immortality, are up on the table for the quest of how to do. But that wisdom is always existing within us, is the funny thing. Like, it's in your very cells. And though scientists are now saying, yes, we want to harness and access and store the gigabytes within one cell. They say it's so astronomical what one can hold in a cell. But that's not trusting the body to reveal it by encouraging the body to reveal the natural genius. It's basically getting in there with a gun and being like, we're going to tell you what to do, and you're going to produce the God gene. But there's soul repercussions, because you have to do it integratively, step by step by step. So eventually there's going to be a breakdown of that system because it's unnatural. It hasn't developed naturally. And that's where we get distortions, and that's where we get discord. If someone is taken out of their learning progression, there's a distortion. Like they show up more, underdeveloped in other phases that they should be developed in. You see it with babies, you see it a lot. Okay, I'm getting a call from my baby, so I'm gonna close this here and we'll return and talk more about this later. Okay, so we're talking about things that make an organic versus an AI timeline similar but different. So the first one is genderless in an AI timeline, ultimate reality of an artificial human intelligent timeline, which is, up at the table now, and the movements in certain communist countries have been the ones who are working to bring genderlessness. And that's been true of any nation who's approached communism and been totalitarian. That's been the goal, is to bring everybody into not male and female. That's where the power is, That's where the sexual power is. That's where the creative power is. That's where the God self. I'm sorry, there's like so many interesting irritations out here in this beautiful nature. So, or genderlessness or androgyny, which is an integration of both sides. So that's one. The other one is the quest for immortality. So that's always been a part of the spiritual path, is to realize one's God self. The AI path is, I'm just going to implant that. I'm going to make that be true without taking all the steps. So interesting how they're same but different. And so interesting how, because the soul kind of craves to return to the oneness, right? To reintegrate. So it's looking for and has a scan out for the androgyny and the immortality buttons, right? And so they're being triggered by this genderlessness, like, oh, on some level that's true, that kind of impulse. Or immortality, oh yeah, on some level I do know that. Like, then part of you thinks that is the way to do it, and that's where some people get manipulated into this agreement until it, and then it's too late. The damage has been done. So of course, if the damage has been done, one can find one's way eventually through the lifetimes and so forth, and liberate oneself from that. But that could be a long journey. If that's what you signed up for, that's what you signed up for. But it does feel like a choice point in going forward. And if you haven't already made the choice of which path to take, it's kind of up to you. I've been just finishing a book about the shots and their implications for life after death. It's a fascinating read. I can put the link to buy it in the notes. But one thing I really got out of it was, this is something that, we could get ourselves in a trap of like just being bound to this earth, disembodied, like being a power source for some other life force or life being. Or we can step up our game and reclaim who we are and do it now. Like, there's still a choice to not be a slave to that, to a different, new energy. We are at an interesting juncture in humanity right now. So there is a choice right now to make. And if one's already made choices that they regret in the recent past about some mandatory thing, that's okay, because getting on your spiritual path and learning how to recall yourself and bring yourself back together is possible. So more about that. But if you are interested in meeting, I do one-on-ones, but you can also do this, find someone that that does this work. Okay, I gotta go.